Hello, my name is Tony Beers, and this is Movie Grades.
And just like the movies, we play out our last scene.
Hey everybody, Tony Beers here again. In this episode of Movie Grades, I'm going to review The A-Team. Back when I was a kid, The A-Team was a big hit. I loved the show. And someone once asked me, who's your favorite character on The A-Team? As a kid, my very favorite had to have been Mr. T. I wanted to be Mr. T when I was a kid. I liked Mr. T so much. I ate Mr. T breakfast cereal. I had Mr. T action figures. I watched Mr. T cartoon show. I wanted to be just like Mr. T. I liked Mr. T because I thought he was a badass. I mean, this guy is such a badass. He punches sharks right in the face. Look at this. That is so awesome. Mr. T was a badass, yet he had his sensitive side.
Mother, there is no other like mother, so treat her right. Mother, I always love her. My mother, so treat her right.
That's what I really liked about his character of B.A. He was a very tough, intimidating guy, but deep down, he had a heart of gold. And he had values, and he knew what was right. He was a good guy. He was a role model for kids, because he taught kids to stay off drugs, to eat their vegetables, stay in school, drink their milk, and all like this sort of stuff. So as a kid, I really looked up to Mr. T. If you would ask me now, what character would I like to be on the A-Team, I would actually have to say Face, because Face got all the women. Now, the A-Team was a perfect show for a kid like myself back in the 80s, because it had action, it was funny, it was just everything that a kid could want. Now, I've noticed that there's a trend going on now in Hollywood of Hollywood taking 80s properties and turning them into movies, and I thought the A-Team would be a perfect choice to bring to the big screen. The story of this movie is that the A-Team is set up and is sent to prison, and they have to escape out of prison and clear their names, which is the same basic story of the TV series. Instead, this time, it's more of an origin story. It basically takes place before the events of the TV series, only for more modern times. The TV series was set in the 80s, and this one's set today. And I would love this story to continue with these characters and these actors. I think they all did a pretty good job. And speaking of these actors, one that really stood out to me is Sharlto Copley. I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. He plays Howling Mad Murdock, and he does a great job. His performance really sticks out to me as the best in this movie. He plays crazy very well. Perhaps that's why it sticks out, as his character sticks out the most as being the craziest character, the funniest character, and just a cool character altogether. The second best performance is probably Liam Neeson as Hannibal, although sometimes I think his accent kind of sticks out a little bit sometimes. The third best performance is that of Bradley Cooper, who is excellent as Face. The fourth best would be Jessica Biel, which she does her job decently. It's not a great performance, but I mean, she has a smaller part than the other people in this movie. She basically plays the girl, you know, she is trying to catch the A-Team, yet she's on their side. She believes that they are innocent. As far as Quentin Rampage Jackson, he did an okay job. I mean, this is his first movie. Not the best acting in this movie I've seen, but it did alright. He did his job. Then again, he is filling the place of Mr. T. Mr. T in the A-Team wasn't the best actor either, but what he had was presence. Much like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Arnold Schwarzenegger is not a great actor, but he has presence on film, which is what Mr. T had. He was very intimidating, but again, like I said, he had like a heart of gold. He was the conscience of the team. And that's what I like about this movie. B.A. Baracus is the conscience of the team. There's a little subplot going on about him refusing to kill anyone, which I think is a great character trait for B.A. Baracus. And it shows that he is a really good guy underneath his intimidating presence. Now, when I first heard that they were going to make this movie, I was really excited, but I was also very nervous because I was afraid that they were going to screw it up. One thing that I was afraid they might do was try to make it a little bit more serious, which the A-Team show, it's not a serious show. It's an action comedy. I'm really glad that they stuck to this idea of the show. Like I said, I was kind of worried that they might take it a little too seriously. That's something this movie obviously is not as serious, and that's why I love about this movie. It doesn't take itself too seriously, and it is very humorous at times. I've heard a lot of people say that the A-Team TV series was just a dumb action series that only rednecks liked. All the things that they would do in this series was very crazy and improbable, that most likely the events that would happen would not happen. All the plans that they would do and all the gadgets wouldn't work and stuff like that. And that is something that I really like about the A-Team, is that they came up with these crazy plans, and yeah, they were crazy, but I mean, that's what was great about them. I mean, that they actually would work. I mean, and that they would actually think up of these crazy plans. That's a great thing that they took from the TV series and put in this movie, is these crazy schemes that they would come up with, and they would pull off, and they would pull off perfectly. And I love that about the movie. They took everything that was great about the TV series and put it in this movie, and really amped it up a lot. I mean, the action scenes are terrific in this movie. They really, really did well with the action in this movie. They're just spectacular. And then if I would use one word to describe this movie, I'd say fun. It's a fun movie. And the characters aren't these serious characters. They're fun characters. And if someone would ask me what is my favorite movie, it would be hard for me to say. And I think a lot of people would be hard for them to say. But if someone would ask me what's my favorite genre, I would have to say action-adventure. A fun action-adventure. Those are my favorite types of movies. And that's why I really like this movie, because it's a really fun action-adventure along the lines of Indiana Jones or movies like that. Now, this is the type of movie I wish that G.I. Joe was more like. One of my biggest complaints about G.I. Joe is it had a lot of science fictional weapons and gadgets and stuff like that, and had holograms everywhere. And that's not what I wanted for G.I. Joe. When they made the G.I. Joe movie, I thought, oh, it's great. They have a chance to take these characters and put them in a real-world situation, bring them to the real world, these cartoon characters. And they didn't do that for me for G.I. Joe. The A-Team is much more realistic than G.I. Joe, believe it or not. Now, that's why I was excited to see the G.I. Joe movie. I was excited to see the G.I. Joes have real guns, shoot real guns, fly real planes, drive real tanks, and they didn't do that. But they did that here in A-Team. They fired real guns, they drove real tanks, or flew real tanks, and they flew real helicopters and stuff. What happened seemed like it could actually happen. Even though most likely it wouldn't, there's a possibility that it could. So, the acting is good, the action is good, the situations are kind of crazy, but that's what makes them good. If you're looking for a very realistic movie, you probably wouldn't like A-Team, but if you want a really fun movie, then I suggest you go see A-Team. And go see it on the big screen, because on the big screen you're going to see and hear all the big explosions and everything. So, for my final grade of the A-Team, I give it a solid B. I feel bad for those people who can't enjoy a fun action movie like this. Those people who say that the movie isn't serious enough, it's too silly, it's too goofy. You know, I really feel bad for those people. In fact, you would say that I pity those fools who don't like the A-Team. My name is Tony Beers, and I'll see you next time.